Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into something really essential today, especially if you're trying to understand how organizations are grappling with AI, or maybe how they should be grappling with it.
That's right. And our guide for this is going to be excerpts from the ISACA Advanced in AI Audit Official Review Manual. It's designed to really help you understand the structures needed for AI.
Exactly. Robust structures for managing AI responsibly and effectively. That's the goal.
Uh-huh. And today we're zeroing in on a really foundational piece. It's Chapter 1, Part B, AI Governance and Program Management.
Now, Chapter 1 overall, that sets the stage, right? AI governance and risk.
Yeah, it does. Part A, which we're not covering today, that gets into the technical nuts and bolts. You know, the different AI models, machine learning, the life cycle stages.
So kind of understanding the engine itself?
Exactly. But Part B, that's where we shift gears. It's less about the engine and more about, well, everything else around it.
Like the steering wheel, the dashboard,
Yeah.
the road rules, how you actually drive the car safely and get where you want to go.
Perfect analogy. It's about how AI is approached strategically, how it's managed within the bigger picture of the organization. It's the management layer.
And that layer sounds critical because AI is powerful, right? But without structure.
It can cause major problems. You could get misaligned with business goals, run into ethical issues, regulatory failures. Strong governance isn't optional, really.
So our mission today is to unpack this part B. We'll look at AI strategy, who's responsible for what, the policies you need, training, and how you even measure success.
Basically, the framework for making AI trustworthy and effective.
Yeah.
So let's get started. First up is Section 1.6, AI Strategy.
Strategy. Okay, so this
All right.
isn't just deciding let's do AI, is it? What's the main takeaway from the source here?
The absolute key thing, and the manual really stresses this, is that AI strategy can't be its own little thing. It has to be tightly integrated with the organization's overall business strategy.
Ah, okay, so not an IT strategy sitting off to the side. It's part of the main company direction.
Precisely. It's a business strategy component.
Yeah.
And because of that, it needs serious buy-in from the top.
Senior management, like the C-suite.
Yep, the source is clear. Senior management or top officials need to accept, endorse, and actively champion these AI initiatives. Without that sponsorship, it's an uphill battle.
Makes sense. Big initiatives need that push. But does the CEO need to be like an AI coding expert?
No. And that's an important point the manual makes. You definitely need deep technical AI skills somewhere in the organization, obviously.
Right, the people building and running it.
But at the strategic level, where you're defining the direction, deep technical expertise isn't always required. What is required is understanding the implications.
Okay, so understanding what AI can do for the business, the opportunities, the risks, not necessarily the math behind it.
Exactly. Understanding the potential is key for the leadership setting the strategy.
So if leadership is championing it, how is the strategy actually governed? Who keeps an eye on it?
Well, it could fall under existing committees, like an IT steering committee or maybe an innovation group. That's one way.
But is that ideal?
The source suggests that for organizations serious about AI, a dedicated AI steering committee is often the better approach.
A specific AI committee. Why? And who sits on it?
The big advantage is focus. And you can bring together expertise from all the right areas. The manual suggests getting representatives from IT, obviously.
For the tech side.
Right. Then risk management, because AI brings new risks. Legal, for compliance and ethics. Operations, because AI often changes how work gets done. And finance, to look at the investment and return.
Wow, okay, so a real cross-functional group. That ensures you're looking at it from all angles: tech, risk, legal, operations, money.
Exactly. It forces that holistic view. It's not just a tech project. It's a business transformation effort.
Okay, so that committee helps shape and oversee the strategy. But what should the strategy actually aim to do? What are the opportunities the source highlights?
Good question. The strategy needs to target specific ways AI can add value. The manual outlines several key areas.
Lay them out for us.
First, increased innovation. This isn't just tweaking existing stuff. It's using AI to create genuinely new products, new services, maybe even totally new business models.
Using generative AI for new content creation tools, or AI in R&D for drug discovery.
Exactly. Things that weren't really possible before. Second, enhanced data utilization. Organizations have tons of data, right?
Drowning in it sometimes.
Well, AI is incredibly good at finding patterns and insights in huge, messy data sets that humans or older tools just can't handle. So a good strategy uses AI to make data truly actionable for smarter decisions.
Turning big data into smart data makes sense. What else?
Improved customer service. This is the big one. AI can personalize customer experiences at scale, automate routine questions with chatbots, power recommendation engines.
Things many of us interact with daily.
For sure, it can lead to happier customers, more loyalty. Then, internally, there's automated processes.
Boosting efficiency.
Right. Automating repetitive tasks, complex analysis, things like document review, predictive maintenance, optimizing logistics. It frees people up for higher value work.
And saves time and money, presumably.
Often,
Yeah.
yes. And finally, and this is really relevant for governance and audit folks, enhanced continuous monitoring.
How so?
AI can sift through massive streams of data transactions, network logs, user activity, constantly looking for anomalies, potential fraud, compliance breaches, security threats, much faster and more comprehensively than manual checks.
Okay, so innovation, better data use, customer service, automation, and stronger monitoring. That's a pretty broad impact.
It really is. A good AI strategy identifies which of these, or others, are most relevant for that specific organization and focuses efforts there.
And connecting this back to you, the listener, especially if you're in AI audit or working closely with AI systems, why is knowing the strategy stuff so important?
Because it gives you the context. You need to understand the why behind the AI system you're looking at. What was its intended purpose? What business goal is it supposed to support?
Without that, how can you tell if it's working correctly or if the risks are being managed appropriately relative to its importance?
Exactly. The strategy tells you what good looks like for that specific AI. It shapes your whole audit approach, what you test, what risks you prioritize. It's fundamental.
Okay, strategy sets the direction. Now, who actually does the work? Let's talk section 1.7, AI-related roles and responsibilities.
Right, moving from the what to the who. And the absolute number one point the source makes here is clarity. Roles and responsibilities for AI must be clearly defined. No ambiguity.
That sounds essential, especially since AI projects often involve so many different teams, right? Data science, IT, the business unit.
Oh, absolutely. It's inherently cross-functional. You've got data scientists, engineers, maybe subject matter experts, IT ops, legal, risk, compliance. If you don't explicitly state who owns what, things inevitably fall through the cracks.
Confusion, duplication, or just gaps.
Exactly. Lack of clear accountability is a huge risk factor.
And these roles, they cover the whole life cycle of the AI, not just the initial build.
Yes, the source is very clear on that.
Yeah.
From the moment you conceive of the AI solution and start gathering data through the whole development, testing, deployment.
And then the ongoing operation, monitoring, maintenance.
Right up until it's eventually retired. Every stage needs clear ownership for the tasks involved.
Can you give some examples? What are some key areas where you really need to pin down who's responsible?
Sure. Think about data. Who is responsible for ensuring the quality and privacy of the data used to train the model? That's huge.
Definitely. Garbage in, garbage out.
Right. Then, who signs off on the model's validation and testing before it goes live? Who handles the technical deployment and integration? Whose job is it to monitor the model in production for performance degradation or drift?
Okay.
Who owns the ongoing risk assessment process for that specific AI? And who is responsible for communicating with stakeholders, explaining how it works, or handling issues? These all need named owners.
That really highlights how many different facets there are to manage. Now, what about when companies use third-party AI, like buying a solution from a vendor?
Great question. This brings up the idea of shared responsibility. The source stresses that when you use third-party AI, you must clearly define who does what, the vendor versus you, the customer.
Like the shared responsibility models in cloud computing, where AWS or Azure handles the infrastructure, but you handle your data and apps on top?
Exactly like that, but applied to AI. The source even mentions models like Microsoft's AI shared responsibility model as examples. They help delineate tasks.
How do they typically break it down? What are the layers?
Usually you'd see distinctions between, say, the underlying AI platform or infrastructure, maybe the core AI model itself, its development and updates.
Okay, that sounds like the vendor side.
Often, yes. Yeah. Then you have the AI application layer, how you integrate that model into your specific business process.
Yeah.
And the AI usage layer, how your employees or customers actually interact with it.
And the responsibility for those application and usage layers often falls more on the organization using the AI.
Generally, yes. If you buy an off-the-shelf AI tool, the manual suggests the purchasing organization keeps significant responsibility, especially for how it's configured, used, and monitored within their environment.
So, sticking with the chatbot example, if you buy a chatbot service,
The vendor provides the core AI engine and platform. But you, the buyer, are likely responsible for training your staff on how to use it effectively. You're responsible for the data governance around the customer conversations it handles.
Ensuring privacy, security of that data.
Right. And you're responsible for monitoring if it's actually working well for your customers in your specific context. Is it giving good answers? Is it up and running on your website? The vendor manages the underlying tech, but you manage its application and use.
That's a really critical point. You can't just buy AI and wash your hands of the responsibility.
Absolutely not. You own the outcome in your environment. And from an audit perspective, understanding this division of responsibility is crucial because it tells you who to talk to. If there's a problem, say with bias output, is it the vendor's core model, or is it how the buying organization configured it, or the data they fed it? Knowing who is supposed to be responsible for which control helps you pinpoint weaknesses and assess if controls are working.
Got it. You need that map of accountability.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have strategy, we have roles. Next logical step seems to be the rules, section 1.8, AI-related policies and procedures. Why the need for specific AI policies? Don't standard IT policies cover enough?
Well, often they don't, actually. AI brings unique challenges. Think about things like model learning and adaptation, the potential for emergent or unexpected behavior, the black box problem sometimes, and the really significant ethical dimensions around fairness and bias.
Things that traditional software policies might not really address head-on.
Exactly. So you need specific policies and procedures to act as guardrails. They ensure AI is developed and used responsibly, ethically, legally, and in line with that overall strategy and the organization's values. They make the strategy actionable.
Where do companies typically look for inspiration or guidance when drafting these AI policies?
The source points to a few key areas. One is academic research, which often pioneers thinking on AI ethics and societal impact.
So keeping an eye on the latest thinking.
Right. Then, very importantly, industry standards and frameworks. Bodies like NIST, with its AI Risk Management Framework, or ISO, and various industry-specific groups provide structured guidance and best practices.
Practical frameworks to build upon.
Yes. And finally, laws and regulations. This is a rapidly growing area. Governments worldwide are enacting rules around AI, covering data privacy, non-discrimination, transparency, safety. Policies have to reflect these legal mandates.
So it's a mix of ethics, best practice, and legal compliance. What specific topics should these AI policies cover?
The manual, especially thinking ahead to the kinds of audit questions in later chapters, suggests a range of critical areas. You definitely need policies on ethical considerations.
Like defining principles for fairness, human oversight, accountability.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Guiding responsible design and use. Then, data governance, privacy, and security specifically for AI data training data. Input data, output data. How is it sourced, protected, used, retained? This is massive for AI.
Given data is the fuel, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Policies on transparency and explainability are key too. When does an AI's decision process need to be understandable? To whom? Under what circumstances?
That varies a lot by application, I'd imagine.
Hugely. Then bias and fairness. Policies need to state the organization's commitment and approach to identifying and mitigating harmful biases in models and outcomes. This is super challenging but non-negotiable.
What else?
Risk assessment and management tailored to unique AI risks. Think model drift, adversarial attacks, unexpected harmful outputs. How are these identified and managed?
Okay.
Change management for AI models. Models get retrained, updated. How is that control process managed safely? Incident response planning for when AI goes wrong, failures, security breaches affecting AI, bizarre behavior. How do you respond?
Like a specific AI incident plan.
Ideally, yes. And finally, validation and testing procedures. Rigorous testing throughout the life cycle to ensure the AI is accurate, reliable, secure, and performs as intended.
Wow, that's a lot of ground to cover. It really drives home that AI governance requires a dedicated policy framework.
It absolutely does. And crucially, these can't be static documents. AI, tech, risks, regulations, they're all changing so fast. Policies need regular review and updates to stay relevant.
And for the auditor, what's the angle?
The auditor is looking to see, do these policies exist? Are they comprehensive enough for the AI being used? Are people aware of them? And the million-dollar question, are they actually being followed in practice? That's where the real assessment happens.
Policies on paper are one thing, practice is another. Okay, that leads perfectly into section 1.9. AI training and awareness. You need people to know and follow these policies.
Exactly. This part of the manual underscores that even the best strategy and policies are basically useless if the people involved don't understand them or don't know how to interact with the AI systems properly and responsibly. Training is critical.
And we're not just talking about the data scientists building the models, are we?
Definitely not. Yes, the technical teams need deep training on development best practices, security, ethics, and design, etc. But the audience is much wider.
Who else?
Think about the business users who rely on AI outputs to make decisions. They need to understand limitations, potential biases. Managers overseeing AI projects need training. IT operations staff supporting the infrastructure. Legal and compliance teams monitoring AI. Even customer support who might field questions about AI-driven services.
Basically, anyone who touches the AI or is impacted by it.
Pretty much, yeah. They need the right level of awareness and training for their role.
What should these training programs aim to achieve? What are the key goals?
Several important goals. First, make sure people understand both the capabilities and the limitations of the specific AI systems they use. Don't overtrust it, don't underutilize it appropriately.
Manage expectations, basically.
Right. Second, teach people how to use the AI systems correctly and responsibly according to those policies and procedures we just talked about, how to give good input, interpret output critically.
Knowing when something looks off.
Yes. Which leads to the third goal, raising awareness of the potential risks, bias, security threats like data poisoning, ethical concerns. People need to be able to spot red flags.
And know what to do about them.
Ideally, yes, or at least who to escalate to. Fourth, ensure understanding of the relevant policies, procedures, and any legal or regulatory constraints that apply to their work with AI. Know the rules.
And is there a cultural element, too?
Absolutely. A major goal is fostering a culture of responsible AI use. Encourage critical thinking, continuous learning. AI isn't static, so people's understanding can't be either.
How should this training be delivered? Is it all formal classes?
It can be a mix. Formal training modules are good for baseline knowledge, but on-the learning, mentorship, workshops focused on specific tools or risks, easily accessible resources like guides or FAQs, a blended approach is often most effective.
Makes sense. Different people learn differently. And from the audit standpoint?
The auditor assesses the training program's effectiveness. They'll look at the content, does it cover the right things? They might look at completion records, but more importantly, they'll talk to people.
To gauge their actual understanding.
Exactly. Do employees in different roles actually understand the AI risks relevant to them? Do they know the key policies? Can they articulate how they handle certain situations? It's about verifying that the training translates into actual awareness and capability.
Okay, so you need proof the knowledge transfer actually happened and stuck.
That's the aim.
All right, last piece of the puzzle in Part B, Section 1.10, Program Metrics. We've got strategy, roles, policies, training. How do we know if any of it is actually working? How do we measure the AI program's health?
That's precisely the role of program metrics. They're the indicators you use to monitor and evaluate how effective your AI solutions are and how well the overall AI governance program is functioning. They give you visibility.
Sounds essential. But the source mentioned measuring AI can be tricky.
It can be, yes. More challenging than measuring traditional IT systems in some ways. The manual points out there's often a lack of consensus on robust and verifiable measurement methods for some key AI attributes.
Like what? Performance seems measurable, accuracy, speed.
Right. Performance metrics are more established. But how do you reliably quantify, say, the fairness of an algorithm's outcomes across different groups, or the explainability of its decisions, or its robustness against novel attacks? Defining and measuring these consistently is still an evolving area.
That's a really crucial point. So the metrics chosen need to be very carefully considered.
Absolutely. They must align with the organization's specific AI principles. What does trustworthy AI mean to them? And they must align with the objectives of the specific AI solution being measured. What was it supposed to achieve?
The metrics should reflect that purpose and the associated risks.
Exactly. The source references Figure 1.19, which outlines key objectives often targeted by AI metrics, tying back to those trustworthy AI principles. We should probably run through those quickly.
Full idea. What are they?
Okay, first, accountability. Metrics aiming to show clear responsibility and traceability for AI actions. Think audit logs, decision records.
Makes sense.
Second, fairness. Metrics trying to demonstrate avoidance of bias and equitable outcomes. This might involve statistical tests comparing performance across demographic groups. Tricky, as we said.
Very tricky.
Third, human well-being. Metrics focused on respecting rights and freedoms, often more qualitative, maybe involving impact assessments.
Okay.
Fourth, performance. The more standard stuff,
Hmm.
accuracy, speed, efficiency, error rates, is doing the job well.
Right.
Fifth, privacy and data governance.
Mm.
Metrics tracking adherence to privacy rules, data security practices, access controls for AI data.
Essential.
Sixth, robustness and digital security. Metrics assessing resilience to errors, manipulation, or attacks. Maybe results from adversarial testing.
Testing its defenses.
Seventh, safety. Critical for AI in the physical world. Metrics tracking safe operation, minimizing harm to people or environment, incident rates, near misses.
Got
And eighth, transparency and explainability. Metrics gauging how understandable the AI is. Could be in model complexity scores or user ratings of explanations provided.
So a broad set of dimensions beyond just does it work?
Exactly. And frameworks like the NIST AI Risk Management Framework or the OECD AI Principles can help organizations think through these dimensions and how to approach measuring them.
They provide structure for assessment.
Yes, they guide what aspects of trustworthiness to consider. The challenge then is defining specific, meaningful metrics for those aspects in your context and making sure they aren't just vanity metrics.
They need to actually inform decisions and drive improvement. Right?
That's the whole point. Metrics should feed back into the governance process. They should highlight where things are going well, but also where risks are emerging, where performance is dipping, where policies aren't being followed. They fuel continuous improvement.
And from the audit perspective.
Auditors will look closely at the metrics. What's being measured? Is it relevant to the stated goals and risks? How is the data collected? Is it reliable? And crucially, does management actually use these metrics? Do they review them? Do they take action based on them? Or are they just collecting numbers for a report nobody reads?
The metrics have to be part of an active management cycle.
Precisely. They need to provide real oversight.
Okay, that wraps up our tour through Part B of Chapter 1. We've hit AI strategy integration, defining roles and responsibilities, the need for specific policies and procedures, the importance of training and awareness, and using program metrics for oversight and improvement.
It really paints a picture of the comprehensive management structure needed around AI. It's not just tech, it's a whole governance ecosystem.
Yeah, the central theme seems to be that effective governance and program management aren't nice to haves. They're absolutely essential if you want to actually harness AI's benefits while keeping the risks technical, ethical, legal, operational under control.
It's the scaffolding. Like we said, it supports responsible and trustworthy AI deployment. Without it, things are much more likely to go sideways.
It really elevates AI from just being a tool to being a core governed business function.
That's a great way to put it.
So, thinking about this for you, our listener, as AI gets woven more and more into everything we do, the question becomes, how do we ensure organizations are truly governing it well? Not just using it, but managing it in a way that builds trust and works for everyone. And based on what we've discussed today, the strategy, the roles, the policies, the training, the metrics, what role could you play in pushing for or assessing strong AI governance in your world?
That's the big question we all need to grapple with, isn't it? Both organizations and individuals.
It certainly is. A lot to think about there. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into AI governance and program management, drawing from the ISACA guide.
Yeah, this was a really foundational discussion for anyone involved with AI.
Absolutely. We hope this detailed look has been valuable for you.